Wi-Fi, AM 640. It's Mo Kelly. It's Later with Mo Kelly. We're live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. We have a huge show tonight. We're giving away stuff, a lot of stuff. We're giving away passes to Disneyland. We're giving away passes to the exclusive Later with Mo Kelly pre-Halloween soiree. We're just giving away stuff because we love you. Before we get to all of that, joining me on the line right now is Wake Up Call with Amy King's host, accordingly, Amy King, who's doing something that I would never do, doing something that Tuala Sharp would never do. Amy King, how the hell are you?
I'm great, and I want to know about this pre-Halloween soiree and why I didn't get an invitation.
Oh, no. You're pre-invited. You're automatically invited. We're just letting the wraps off for tonight. No. Need not worry. October 30th, here at the Honda Studios. Amy King, you better be in the house.
Oh, fun. Okay. All right. I might be in bed, but we'll see what I can do.
After all that. Amy
I know,
King,
right?
There's this rumor going around that either you have or you're going to be running down the side of a building like Spider-Woman.
Okay, so it's sort of both. So this afternoon, I went over the edge to raise money for the Union Rescue Mission. I rappelled 25 stories down the Universal Hilton. And I will tell you, I survived. It was terrifying, exhilarating, fun, and it was for such a good cause. And so the reason I wanted to talk to you tonight is to, one, say I made it, and two, because we're still raising money. They're going to do this event through tomorrow, so there's more event to go. And in fact, they do have some spots left. They have like 7 spots left. And if you want to rappel down the building, all you need to do is raise. All you need to do is raise or donate $1,000 for the Union Rescue Mission, and then you can go and rappel down the building too. If it's something you're afraid of, oh my God, they took such good care of us. They were so thorough. It was safe and it was wonderful. And like I said, it's for such a good cause. And if you're not familiar with the Union Rescue Mission, Mo, I got to tell you, we are so jaded here in Los Angeles because homelessness is just so stupid out of control. I mean, there's like 75,000 people in LA that don't have a home. And there's so much that's not being done. And there's so much money being thrown at a problem that's not getting better. Well, the Union Rescue Mission is actually doing things to make it better. They have transitional housing. They get people who actually want the help. And then once they get into their program and they want the help, they help them get their GED. They help them do job training. They help them get their life back on track. So again, it's not the people who don't want help. It's the ones who do. And one of the reasons it's important to donate to the Union Rescue Mission is they don't get any government funding. You hear about these numbers. Like I just did a story today about $1 billion has been spent on the homelessness program in California, and Governor Newsom's taking a lot of heat for it. These guys are privately funded, and ironically, it's because they don't allow drugs and alcohol into their shelters. If you want government funding, you have to let them have drugs and alcohol. And they said that's not good. And when we were talking to one of the vice presidents, he said, we have families in there, and we have children in there, and we have elderly people in there. You don't want people high and stoned and drunk in that environment. And so the Union Rescue Mission doesn't allow that in their programs. Again, it's another reason that their program is different, and they're actually helping people.
Amy
so
King,
that's why we got behind it, and that's why I jumped off the building.
Amy King, I have to salute you because I've been to the Universal Hilton many times, and each time I went there, they were perfectly good working elevators inside, but you decided to go outside and take the windy way down. Was there any moment in the process where you thought, maybe I should have chosen another way to make a difference?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I am afraid of heights. I don't like them, but they have such great people there to help you, and they do like 10 safety checks, and they show you what to do, and you're very comfortable. And once you get actually over the edge and start rappelling down, it's just plain fun. So it's really a cool experience. In fact, it's so much fun that I'm going to go over the edge again tomorrow. We're going to try to raise some more money, and I'm going to take Nick Poliokini with me.
Does he know that?
Does traffic with? Yes. Yep. He agreed to it.
Okay,
so
just want to be sure.
If you listen to Wake Up Call, you hear him with Wake Up Call. with me every morning from 5 to 6 a.m. And so I'm taking Nick over the edge. So we're going to ask you to, if you can, because we know it's your hard-earned money and we know that that things are not great right now and people are struggling. But if you can donate $20 or you can donate $100, or if you want to go and do the rappelling yourself and donate $1,000, we would love to have you join us. But whatever you can do, we would appreciate it because it is for a good cause. And the way to do that is go to justhelp1.org. Just Help One. It's the number 1.org. And there's a button on there that's Team iHeart. And then just look for me and click on me and make the donation. And the other reason, Mo, that I really want your donation, I mean, let's be honest. I want to beat Neil Saavedra because he went over the edge too. And he's raising a lot of money. And so we're kind of going back and forth. So, and he has a whole show tomorrow, the Fork Report, from 2 to 5, where he can be asking his lovely listeners to make donations.
Now, tell the truth.
I don't got that. So,
did Neil urinate his pants when he went down? That's not a no.
We were worried. He was really funny, though. Before he went over, he's like, I'm not scared. And then when I was texting back and forth with him after, I said, were you scared? And he goes, well, heck yes, I was scared. So in front of the cameras, he was very tough. But we hear he was a little bit scaredy cat when he was going over. But he had a blast. I had a blast. In fact, so much so we're going to go over again.
Okay, paint a picture for me very quickly. It's not like when you're jumping out of an airplane and you have a buddy with you. You're doing this by yourself. Is that correct?
They actually have 3 lines, so you're rappelling with 3 people. So I got to rappel with Tim, and I got to rappel with Kelly. Both of them are with the Union Rescue Mission, so they kind of flanked me today. Mm-hmm. And so there's 3 of us, and they've got walkie-talkies on you, so they're communicating if anything goes a little wonky. Which they have all this safety stuff built in that nothing's going to go wrong. And again, once it gets started, I was like, well, this is so much fun. I felt a little like, Batman and Robin when they used to walk up the walls. And I was like, I love this. I was terrified, but I loved it.
Well, Amy King, I salute you for what you are doing for a wonderful cause. Go to justhelp1.org, justhelp1.org, and make your donation and help do your part wherever we can to help end homelessness in the Los Angeles area. Amy King will make sure we'll be shouting this out all night long, and congratulations once again.
Okay, thank you so much. And again, I expect to hear more about the pre-Halloween soiree. Oh, I'm going to try to make it.
Well, all you need to do is listen to Later with Mo Kelly all night long.
You know I do. I do.
I love you. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you so much, Mo.
It's Later with Mo Kelly, KFI AM 640. We are live everywhere, the iHeartRadio app. When we come back, we're going to tell you about the latest attempts to stop some of these 7-Eleven store robberies. And maybe you can help as well.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
KFI Mo Kelly, live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. And we have been covering these extensive robberies of 7-Eleven. And I said, this can't be a coincidence. It's always 7-Eleven. Now, what's also not a coincidence, at least according to LAPD, these spate of 7-Eleven robberies by a single group, or is thought to be a single group of quote-unquote youthful males between the ages of maybe 14 and 20 years old. They're estimating of varying ethnicities. And here is the thing which I think is going to help police narrow down who these individuals might be, because they're always on bikes. So they're limited as far as how much ground they're going to cover. And they're doing it within a small radius. It's like in the Rampart area where all of the robberies have happened between the times of 6 and 8 p.m. and always on a Friday. They seem loosely coordinated outside of that. There is a continuity as far as how it's done. They ride up on the bikes, usually between now and 8 o'clock in a certain area. And then they all run in the 7-Eleven stores, taking as much as they can, and then running out without paying, then getting on their bikes again and riding away. But if there's any pattern to it, that is it. And police said 13 of the 14 robberies occurred on Friday nights. with the exception of there was one on Wednesday, and that was the only time where it went outside their usual pattern. And I could read the list to you, but they're all within a small area, a small radius in the LA area. And if you're next to a 7-Eleven right about now, and you see about 15, 16, 17 kids on bikes rolling up, probably covering their faces, yeah, that's probably, that's a hint and a half that it's about to get robbed. So you may need to call someone. I don't want anything violent to happen to them, but this needs to stop. And if police can at least scare them into stopping, then I'm okay with that. If not, then the police are going to have to do what they need to do to stop these robberies. From what I can see, what I've read, no one has been hurt or harmed up until this point. But there will come a time in which either someone who is also in the 7-Eleven or someone who's working there may fight back. And then when that happens, obviously an escalation leads to unforeseen outcomes. I don't know what I would do. And I thought about this. Not that I ever go in a 7-Eleven, but if I were in a situation, let's just say AM PM, Circle K, getting gas somewhere, and I saw 15 to 20 kids riding up on bikes, clearly trying to hide their identities. So you know what they're about to do. It's not just you see a bunch of kids, you're going to assume. No, they're obviously up to something because they're hiding their identities. I don't know what I would do. I would definitely call the police, but I don't know if I could stand idly by and do nothing if I saw about 20 to 30 kids running into a 7-Eleven or some sort of convenience store. I don't know. And, part of me says, hey, don't get involved. Part of me says, hey, you don't want them to turn on you. But part of me says, I just can't do zero, can I? I don't know. Is there a civic responsibility on my part other than just using my phone to call the police, which most likely the person working inside has already done? They've already hit a panic button. They've already called police, and they'll be there probably in 5 or 6 minutes long after the kids are gone. I don't know what the right thing to do is. I know I could pull out my phone and start filming just for evidence sake, but I don't know if that helps anyone. I don't know if that prevents the next robbery. They're covering their faces, so it's not like I'm going to run up and try to pull off their ski mask unless I want to fight 35 kids at once, and I really don't want to do that. I don't know what their intentions are. Now, maybe Mark Runner would, but I wouldn't.
I just figured that you'd strip your shirt off, pull your nunchucks out of your pants, and just take them all out at once.
No, because here's the thing. I remember what it's like to be 15 and 16. I remember what it's like to not have a care and thinking you're invincible and not considering the consequences of your actions. I'm not that person anymore. I got a lot to lose, like my life.
I think it's incumbent upon you to let those children know that they are not, in fact, invincible, nor are their teeth.
Look, don't get me wrong. That's a part of the equation.
Yeah.
If I could just hit one, just hit one in the throat real hard so he stops breathing for about 5-10 seconds.
That's right. Just fly into action. Yeah. Show him how a man handles the situation.
Even though you're going to goad me into a really bad situation, I'm not going to allow you to. But no, there is an internal dialogue that I'm having about what I would do, because I've been in situations like I told the story when I was at Ralph's in the Torrance area about a year or so ago, and I saw these two youths, or as they said in the movie, Utes.
Yeah, Utes.
Utes walking around, and they were stealing bottles of alcohol. And they seemed like they're maybe 23, 24 years old, big as a minute. They weren't physically imposing. Part of me was saying, call them out, call them to the store's attention. And another part of me said, for what? The store probably already knows. There's video. If they want to pursue it, they will. They probably have already seen them, and they're not going to stand in front of them. What's the point? I don't gain anything. But that's my internal struggle, because I don't like it if it's happening right in front of me.
Also, you probably wanted that booze they were taking.
No. I already had booze in my hand. I was getting ready to buy.
I see.
So
Okay.
I was fine in that regard. They couldn't do anything for me.
And that's why they even tell the employees that they work there, just don't interfere because it's not worth your life for minimum wage. Which, by the way, I don't know if either of you've gone to Best Buy recently, but now they have armed security.
Not just the guy who makes it really uncomfortable by the door, greeting you every single time you go in and out.
Here's my question. When is he going to use that gun or she going to use that gun? What are the circumstances? Look, let's say I'm in there and I'm trying to steal, I don't know, a computer, one of the laptops, and I'm running to the front. Is he going to shoot me? I doubt Best Buy is going to allow that to happen.
I don't know.
Maybe that's the next escalation.
Or maybe it's just a scare tactic.
Maybe it's a deterrent.
Because they don't hide it. I mean, it's flaunted, right? You can see their gun.
But there are repercussions to all this. For example, I was at Boston Market in Torrance. I'm over in Torrance a lot. And it was on Hawthorne Boulevard, around Torrance Boulevard-ish. And it's now closed, and I think there's a correlation. And that's the point of the story. I was in there getting some food to go, and a homeless person just came in, walked straight in, and just took all the baked goods on the counter, put them in his coat, like cupped it, and then walked out.
That's impolite.
It was very impolite. It was rude. Other people were waiting. He could have at least waited his turn in line, but he didn't. And I looked at the people behind the counters like, is this usual? Are you supposed to intervene? And before I could get a word out of my mouth, a young lady behind the counter said, oh, he does that a lot. That was maybe a year ago. The place is now closed. I know they've been closing down Boston markets all over the place, but I don't know if shrinkage, theft is good for business. I don't think it is.
Grand theft crawler.
Well, I think they're like tasty cakes. It's just like the brownies and stuff at the front.
Still impolite.
Yeah. But I don't know what I would do. But if it happens around me and I'm near a 7-Eleven, I might like try to trip one as they're running away. I might take one of their bikes and push it down the street so they can't get it. I would do something like that.
Just like James Bond would have done.
Well, it'll be one of those things where they have to make a decision. Are you going to engage me or are you going to try to get away? Because you're not going to be able to do both. And if you're going to engage me, well, it's going to be more work than just a little bit. I'm not just going to let you just walk over me.
And that's without even Tuwala being there to get into his trunk.
No. Tuwala would do something. I don't even have to ask him. Tuwala would try to beat the crap out of as many of them as possible. He's not even around the studio. I can answer for him.
So the answer to this is never go to a 7-Eleven without Tuwala.
No, I'm not going into a 7-Eleven at all for any reason, under any circumstances.
I could see him blocking the door, not letting them out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He's 2 men enter, 1 man leave.
He's not locked in there with them. They're locked in there with him.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dying times here. KFI AM 640, we're live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Pop quiz. Stefan or Mark or Tuwala, whoever may know the answer to this. I didn't know this prior to today. What is the difference between hemp and marijuana? Now, if you're a weed smoker, you probably know.
Hemp is not the drug part. You can actually make material out of hemp.
Anyone else?
He took.
Anyone else?
I believe hemp is just the plant. It's not the stems, which are the actual marijuana.
Well, according to a number of sources, hemp is used to describe cannabis that contains 0.3% or less THC by dry weight, while marijuana or weed is defined as any cannabis that has more than 0.3% of THC. So it comes down to the level of THC.
Much more clinical than the way I put it. But about the same.
But you're not wrong. I'm just trying to, actually give a mathematical benchmark. The reason I'm talking about this, Cheech and Chong, they have been consistent for the past 45 years. All things weed and marijuana, they are advocates for. Now, they are together suing the state of California over this emergency ban on hemp products containing any detectable level of THC. That's why we wanted to start off with just the definition of what is hemp versus marijuana, at least in the clinical sense. So there's this emergency ban on hemp products containing any detectable level of THC. And Cheech and Chong have filed a lawsuit against the California Department of Public Health over this emergency regulation. Quote, inaction over the last 3 years hardly serves as a sufficient basis for declaring a sudden emergency and circumventing the meticulous procedures of regular rulemaking. It's akin to requiring candy to stop containing sugar starting tomorrow. Close quote. And this lawsuit comes after the full ban, which was proposed by Governor Newsom, which went into effect earlier this week on Monday. And that was less than 3 weeks after he pitched it to a temporary status on September 6th. So it moved to their point. It moved through the process real quickly. But you know me, I personally don't have a dog in this fight.
Isn't that a bit of an oversimplification, though, to say it's akin to taking the sugar out of candy? I'm like,
I think there are better analogies to make, and I think that's a bad one to make when you're talking about a drug of any kind.
Yeah, I mean, if you wanted to get high eating, say, some hemp rope, it wouldn't be possible. Or like a hemp blanket, you couldn't eat enough.
Yeah, and I think it sends the wrong message to people who may be ambivalent, maybe on the fence, maybe feel a certain type of way, like me, about marijuana. When you try to liken it to candy and sugars as if it is as innocuous, as innocent, as unserious as candy and sugar, then you're insulting my intelligence. Like, no, it's not like that. It really isn't like that. You know, you can say that it's not a Schedule A drug, but it's still a drug. Okay. It is still something which is going to be regulated regardless. It is still something which is not for kids, whereas candy and sugar are. I think it was just a very poor analogy, but I give them credit. They have been consistent for the past 45, 50 years. Everything they've done, everything they've said, all their comedy bits, all their movies have centered around either glorifying or protecting weed, hemp, whatever you want to call it.
Did you not listen to Cheech and Chong albums when you were a kid?
I did, but they weren't like super funny to me. Not that they are unfunny. I'm just saying they weren't super funny to me because I never had any real fascination with weed. And growing up, their fascination with weed seemed more strange to me than funny.
Oh, I could have worn those records out. I thought they were hilarious. And obviously, as a child, I didn't care about weed, but it was just, the idea that they were getting away with something they shouldn't.
It just seemed like the same joke to me over and over again.
No, Mark, because I wasn't into it either. I wasn't into weed. I didn't like weed. I didn't like the smell of it. So I'm thinking,
I was a kid.
Yeah. And you said we weren't kids,
right?
You're not younger than us, Mark.
I think I can promise you that I was not a big pothead as a child.
Yeah, but you were into those albums heavily. You wore them out, you said.
I thought they were funny.
Yes, because you had a fascination with marijuana.
You're trying to make something out of this, and
we're trying to make something out of this?
You're trying to make a slander suit out of this.
You are going to the mat in support of their records.
Well, they were funny. They were comedy albums. Just like, I'm sorry, were you busy listening to Bob Newhart instead?
No,
what were you listening to?
I was listening to Red Fox and Richard Pryor.
Okay, well, I like those too. They were all in the mix. Maybe not so much Cosby.
Dolomite.
Well, we were too young for Dolomite or like Blowfly or any of those.
Wait. How could you be too young for Rudy Ray Moore but not Richard Pryor?
I'm not sure I have an adequate answer to that question.
I mean, because they both were vulgar.
Yeah,
Rudy Ray Moore was very, very vulgar. I would say Richard Pryor, depending on the album, was vulgar.
Richard Pryor was much more part of mainstream pop culture than Rudy Ray Moore. I didn't learn about him until I was much older.
But that's only because you're half black.
Yes.
See, if you were all black, you would have learned about him in the early 1970s.
No, you're right. I forgot today that I was half black. Thank you for reminding me of that.
Well, see, the white half always wants to get rid of the black half. That's why.
I know. I was oppressing myself earlier. It was really awkward.
Oh, you'll get used to it.
Shame on you.
This is what I hear.
You have a different internal dialogue than I have, evidently.
Yeah, clearly.
When we come back, the air taxis, they're still trying to get it done here in L.A. Another air taxi has been proposed. They keep talking about the Jetsons. I don't think it's actually going to be happening in my lifetime, but they think they are. And, they're in the pocket of Twala Sharp, so I'm quite sure he will advocate for them when we come back.
Where is he going to come down on this one?
I wonder. KFI AM 640 live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app. And don't forget, we will be giving away that family 4-pack to the Disneyland Resort in honor of Halloween time tonight, sooner than later. Just want to let you know that.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
A California startup named Joby Aviation is developing an all-electric air taxi that will be used in the skies above cities worldwide. That's in a perfect world. And this world is anything but perfect. And also, they had an aircraft on display. It couldn't fly. There was no demonstration, but it was on display at the Grove in L.A. recently. So you can see it. Looks very cool. Looks futuristic. Looks like Airwolf. Real sleek in design. And supposedly it flies at the sound of a whisper. So it could be only 1,000 feet above you, but you would not hear it, according to its owner. Quote, it frees you from the traffic in a way that you just can't right now with any other technology. And that's the chief product officer, Eric Allison. He was very enthusiastic, as the story reads. The fully electric aircraft, and this is the thing which, look, I'm not real good at math, but this is problematic to me. The fully electric aircraft can cruise at 200 miles per hour. Pretty fast. But only has a range of about 100 miles. That's not a lot. That's not a lot. 100 miles. So to be safe, you got maybe 40 miles this way and 40 miles to get your ass back. That's it. That's it. You can go real fast, but you can't go real far. Quote, it can fly really quietly. So if it was flying over here at about 1,000 feet, which is like low even for a helicopter, it would basically be silent. You wouldn't hear it as it flies over. But they did not have a working model to demonstrate this. This is only what they are telling us. And I have to imagine, okay, it's full of rich folks. If you got money, you would get something like this. But how feasible would it be unless you have a helipad where you live, which is possible, and there's the helipad where you're going? Now, there are people like Kobe Bryant. When he was alive, he would fly to Laker games and other places in private helicopters. So I'm quite sure there are uses for the very wealthy, but I don't know in terms of traffic, because they're talking about this being an alternative to traffic. I don't know how this could address that.
Well, as
wait. You have to say fully disclosed. I've been paid for this advertisement.
Hey, listen to what we're talking about right now.
Okay.
We're talking about
the Rolex
expansion of this amazing technology. The fact is that sooner than later, the infrastructure will be fully realized here in Southern California, where there will be more charge ports, not just for personal Jobies, but also for electric cars, self-driving cars, and the like.
Here's the thing. I disagree with that, because you can see the evolving infrastructure when it comes to electric cars. You can even see the evolving infrastructure for autonomous vehicles. You can see one here or there out on the streets. You find electric cars everywhere. There is no real world example of these flying taxis as of yet. And there's nothing which has been built to accommodate them. And we haven't seen the technology in action, even in a demonstration video. Boston Dynamics, they have dancing robots. They have demonstration videos. Mm-hmm. But it's nice to see a picture of this at the Grove. It's almost like when you go to the car show and you see the cars of the future and you think maybe one day they'll be out there, but they're just for demonstration. We need to see an actually working prototype to get an idea of where this would work in our day-to-day society. Is it just for the 5 billionaires in Southern California and that's it? If so, then whoop-de-doo, great for them. They've already had access to helicopters for the past 25 years.
No, Joby, as we have discussed in the past, let me remind you, Joby is working with the FAA. They're working with LAX. They're working with several different business locations
They're working with
to
7-Eleven?
establish from the landing ports. 7-Eleven couldn't afford a Joby. They couldn't afford a Joby. Look, this is something that is coming in the nearer future because we know this is coming in 2025.
Define near.
2025 is when they said they were going to start with the soft launch.
And what did they say about the Neuralink?
No, this isn't killing monkeys. That's not what they're doing to test Jobies.
Look, I need to see one in the air and see how it's going to be able to maneuver Southern California without running into buildings, running into other helicopters and power lines.
This is where I remind you that you had the same argument against robot taxis and self-driving Ubers and the like. And now guess what? As the rollout has continued to grow, you know we've heard less of, Mo? You know what we've heard less of? Any stories about accidents. Even the naysayers in the Bay Area are like, well, look at them. They're beeping all night. That's all they got. That's all you got? Some beeping all night? But you haven't had any more reports of grandmothers being run over. Because you haven't had any.
Because they're suppressing that information. They're hiding it from the public. You don't want to let that out.
You wouldn't hide it. If the news was available, you would be the first one to rub it in my face.
I would. That's what I'm saying.
And
they're
that's
not
why
letting you know.
There's no
you don't
news.
know how many grandmothers are sitting in the hospital right now because an autonomous vehicle ran them down. Like that.
That's just ridiculous. It's Fuchs has seen them. You've seen them. I've seen them. I don't know if Mark has seen them. He's very quiet. He's trying to hide and suppress the fact that he's seeing them out there just driving, doing what they're doing, taking passengers to and fro.
It's Halloween time at the Disneyland Resort, and KFI AM 640 wants to give you a chance tonight to experience the frightful fun. A Happiest Halloween has brought fiendishly tasty treats, thrills for one and all, and beautiful decor to both Disney California Adventure Park and Disneyland Park. Now through Halloween, October 31st, we will be giving away a family 4-pack in the next hour to a lucky winner. So you and 3 of your friends or family or 3 even strangers can go to the Disneyland Resort. That's coming up next hour. Keep it right here. KFI AM 640. We're live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app.
Perfect for achy, indecisive minds. KFI's cooling Info Gel quickly relieves ignorance and leaves a minty fresh scent.
KFI.
And KOST HD2.
Los Angeles, Orange County.
Live.